Why should we meet Sonia Gandhi every time? It is not constitutionally mandated, says Mamata Banerjee as she hints at big political plans. Cabinet clears bill repealing farm laws. Farmers celebrate. Meanwhile, Prime Minister's free food grain scheme is extended till March 2022. India's fertility rate is down to 2, which is the lowest ever. 2019-2021 survey data shows that population is stabilizing. Triggered by news of a possible ban, crypto markets crash. A draft crypto bill is yet to be finalized, sources say. Discussion is at an advanced stage. Asia's biggest airport will be in Jewar in Noida, according to the government. Prime Minister to lay the foundation stone on Thursday. Land is acquired at record speed, but farmers there are living in tents. Top court, while hearing the air pollution matter, says that look at the signal we are sending the world. The Supreme Court says that it will continue to hear the pollution case, urges action to be taken in anticipation of poor air. And literally, it's money down the drain. Wads of currency notes are dug out of pipelines in a raid at PWD engineer's home in Karnataka. Hello and welcome to NDTV 24/7. I'm Rohit Wellington. Let's begin with our top story. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, bent on expanding her party's presence, was candid about refreshing her pan-India political network. Her journeys, she said, will take her to Varanasi, Prime Minister Modi's Lok Sabha constituency, and the big opposition hub of Mumbai. The big hint was on the space the Congress might occupy in her plans. Asked about her meeting with Congress Chief Sonia Gandhi, Ms. Banerjee said that there was none since she said they were busy with Punjab polls. And later she added, why should we meet Sonia Gandhi every time?
नहीं, हम कोई वक्त नहीं मांगा किसी से। हम और किसी से वक्त नहीं माने कि मेरे को पता है पंजाब इलेक्शन है, they are busy, let them work for the party. मैंने तो बोल दिया ना। Why you are asking me only one question?
इस पर मुलाकात नहीं होगी
कि हर टाइम मुलाकात होने का कोई बात है क्या? ये कोई मैंडेटरी है? ये कोई कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रोविजन है? मैंने बोला मैंने टाइम नहीं मांगा, वो लोग बिजी है पंजाब इलेक्शन के लिए, लेट देम बी बिजी फॉर देयर पार्टी वर्क। और जॉब होगा तब उत्तर प्रदेश इलेक्शन में जॉब होगा। हमारा पार्टी का यूनिट तो उधर में चालू हुआ है, तो मेरे को भी ये है कि हम बनारस में एक दफे जाए, because our party is also a national party. Let us decide it later on. But Goa we started, Tripura we started, Haryana also started, UP also our unit is doing there. अगर वो लोग बीजेपी को हराने के लिए मदद दे सकता है, तो टीएमसी उसका पास रहेगा। टीएमसी चाहते हैं बीजेपी हारे, लेकिन टीएमसी इसी के लिए हर जगह में नहीं लड़ेंगे, जिसमें जरूरत है उसमें लड़ेंगे। अगर अखिलेश से लोग चाहते हैं कि हमारा मदद, तो हम देने के लिए तैयार है।
Moving on, the Union Cabinet on Wednesday cleared a bill to withdraw the 3 controversial farm laws. Union Minister Anurag Thakur said that it will be government's priority to take back the 3 laws in the upcoming session of Parliament. Mr. Thakur, however, sidestepped a question on the farmers' demand for a legal guarantee for minimum support price. Meanwhile, the Cabinet has extended the PM's free food grain scheme till March next year.
जैसा आपको ज्ञात है कि 19 तारीख को माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने गुरुपुरब के अवसर पर देश को संबोधित करते हुए ये घोषणा की थी कि तीनों कृषि कानून वापस लिए जाएंगे। और उसके बाद आज जब कैबिनेट की बैठक हुई तो उसमें इन सभी औपचारिकताओं को पूरा करके कैबिनेट ने तीनों बिल वापस लेने का जो औपचारिकता है उसको पूरा किया है। एज आई सेड, इन द अपकमिंग विंटर सेशन द प्रायोरिटी विल बी टू टेक दीज बिल्स एंड रिपील देम। गरीब कल्याण अन्न योजना के माध्यम से देश के लगभग 80 करोड़ से ज़्यादा लोगों को 5 किलो गेहूं या चावल मुफ्त में देने की योजना, जो मार्च 2020 से लेकर अब तक लगभग 15 महीने तक देश के करोड़ों को देने का काम किया है, करोड़ों लोगों को देने का काम किया है, उसमें दिसंबर 2021 से लेकर मार्च 2022 तक 4 महीने के लिए बढ़ाने का निर्णय किया गया है।
Well, the other big story, India's fertility rate is down to 2 children per woman. It's the lowest ever. The Health Ministry has released the findings of the National Family Health Survey. It also says that the biggest drop is in Chandigarh, while the highest rate is in Uttar Pradesh. Rishika Barua has more.
Survey, and the data points to a major milestone for India as the fertility rate has dropped from 2.2%, from 2.2, I beg your pardon, in 2015-16 to 2 in 2019-2021. As you rightly pointed out, Sonia, this is the lowest ever fertility rate. It's the lowest in Chandigarh at 1.4 and highest in Uttar Pradesh, above the average at 2.4. Now, 13% increase has been reported in the use of family planning methods, which is up from 54% in 2015-16 to now 67%. But what is extremely significant here is that the total fertility rate, which has, remember, slipped to 2, is now below the replacement level, which is at 2.1, and this has happened for the very first time. The replacement mark at 2.1 children per woman is an indication, an important indication that the population of India is indeed stabilizing. The replacement rate continues to be below the fertility rate in all states except Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Jharkhand and Uttar Pradesh.
Moving on to the big crypto crash. Amid reports of a bill banning all digital currencies in the upcoming session of Parliament, the Bitcoin pricing witnessed a crash. Overall, crypto market in India fell by over 15%. The crypto bill was reportedly not discussed in Wednesday's cabinet meeting. Now, sources say that the draft crypto bill is yet to be finalized, though the discussions are at an advanced stage. Sources also say that the government is contemplating on suggestion to treat cryptocurrencies as asset and not legal tender. Sources also said that there is no decision on when the bill will be tabled in Parliament session. Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor has more.
Let's first start by understanding how did this bloodbath that actually started with Bitcoin and markets, how did it all begin? Well, it all started with the news coming out that crypto bill was actually part of the over 20 bills to be introduced in the upcoming winter session. Fun fact over there, this is not the first session where it has been put in. It was also there in the previous session of Parliament, in the monsoon session as well. But we'll get to that in a bit. First, let's understand what led to that bloodbath and what it meant really on the markets. All major currencies with that news and speculative news that it would be banned crashed. Market was down by over 15% in India. Bitcoin fell by around 17%. Ethereum fell by 15%. Tether fell by 18% as well. And you know what happens in the crypto market. Once Bitcoin crashes, the entire market goes down with it. Now, having understood what happened at the markets, let's tell you what was the reason behind this. Like I said, speculation that there would be a ban on the crypto bill, at least in the current form of it. But what NDTV is picking up from sources as of this moment, both in the industry, stakeholders over there and also highly placed sources in the government, is that there will be no ban, but there will be regulation that is likely to come in. Government sources also saying that what's been proposed right now is the old bill, and a new crypto bill with lots of new amendments is likely to be finally tabled on the floor of the House. The government, in fact, hasn't finalized the definition of that. They are working on it with various stakeholders, and that is likely to come up in the days, closely in the days as well. The new bill, amongst the key things over there, what we do know as of this moment, will not go for a ban, but for a regulation as of this point. Also, looking at not cryptocurrencies as a legal tender, which means not a replacement for rupee, for INR, for dollar, but actually as an asset class, which is something that the stakeholders have also asked for.
In some of the news, government will cut down its stake holding in public sector banks from 51% to 26%, a move which will help bring in greater institutional and public investments in these banks. That's according to sources. The decision aims to help the government-controlled banks to raise capital from the market and reduce their dependence on the public exchequer for capital. Also, it will allow the government to use this money for development programs, that's what sources said. apart from helping in the meeting the disinvestment target. A scheme for privatization of public sector banks in consultation with the RBI is also being planned. That's what sources said. Now, the coordinated bid to release oil reserves by India, US, China, UK, Japan and Korea might not work, as the OPEC allies have now warned that they will further tighten supplies. So has the United Front strategy backfired? Sakshi Bajaj reports.
This united front to release oil reserves in order to reduce oil prices may soon backfire. The oil cartel, OPEC Plus, had earlier warned that an orchestrated attempt to release strategic reserves could result in tightening of supplies, effectively keeping prices high. After initially dipping to $78 a barrel, crude prices shot past $82 a barrel after US President Joe Biden's decision to release oil from reserves in coordination with India, UK, Japan, China and South Korea. Biden's promise of lower prices for consumers isn't going to happen for at least some weeks, if that, say analysts. But back in India, the government's unprecedented move to release crude oil reserves is unlikely to lead to lower prices instantly. Ever since the Diwali relief for consumers, when excise on petrol was reduced by ₹5 a litre and on diesel by ₹10 a litre, the government hasn't fluctuated fuel rates. Experts believe the current level of reserves being released is only enough to last a short time, which is to OPEC's advantage.
To release stocks of oil from their strategic petroleum reserves is underway. I think this will be enough to last a couple of days, short of even 1 week. Therefore, all eyes are now on OPEC's next meeting on 2nd of December 2021.
As the showdown between the largest consumers of oil and OPEC Plus continues, the spotlight is now on who will blink first and when will the average customer witness lower oil rates. Sakshi Bajaj for NDTV.
Prime Minister Modi will lay the foundation stone of the Noida International Airport in Uttar Pradesh's Jewar on Thursday, his first public event in the western part of the state since the announcement of the withdrawal of the 3 controversial farm laws. The 3 laws triggered nearly 15 months of fierce protests with a bulk of farmers from Punjab and western UP. But politics apart, the Greenfield Airport is set to have many firsts, including zero-emission fuels.
This massive new airport in Jewar, near Delhi, the Noida International Airport, will be India's first with net zero emissions once ready by 2024. The first phase of the airport is spread over 1,300 hectares of land and will cost over 10,000 crore rupees to build. Eventually, the entire project is likely to cost upwards of 30,000 crore rupees. Once ready, the airport will help decongest the Indira Gandhi International Airport by serving over 1 crore passengers a year. In other firsts, the government says the airport will have an integrated multimodal cargo hub with the dedicated cargo terminal having an initial capacity of 20 lakh metric tons. The project has earmarked dedicated land to be developed as a forest park. The airport is crucial for the BJP and Chief Minister Adityanath, who visited the project site on Tuesday. Ahead of Uttar Pradesh's crucial state election early next year, the airport is being showcased as a key infrastructure project that brings connectivity to millions in Western UP.
आप देखते होंगे 2017 तक उत्तर प्रदेश के अंदर केवल 2 एयरपोर्ट फंक्शनल थे। हम सब आभारी हैं प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी के, जिनके कारण उड़ान योजना में आज उत्तर प्रदेश के अंदर हमारे 9 एयरपोर्ट फंक्शनल हो चुके हैं। आज हम लोग 80 से अधिक स्थानों से प्रदेश को जोड़ चुके हैं।
But already there are hiccups. Barely 700 meters from where the Prime Minister will lay the foundation stone for the airport, these rows of tents belong to farmers who say they have not been compensated yet for their land which was acquired.
farmers are not against the development, or they are not against airport as well. In fact, they are happy, but they are saying they should be compensated legally and rehabilitated according to the Land Acquisition Act.
जमीन को मुआवजा जायज ना मिलो,
अच्छा,
ना ही मकान को मिलो। प्लॉट दियो 90 मीटर, 90 मीटर में हम क्या कर लेंगे? कोर्ट में हमारा केस चल रहा है, भैंस भी न बांध पावे जी, वहाँ तो हम कुछ भी ना कर पाएंगे।
हमें 5-5.5 लाख रुपए मिल गए हैं, हमें प्लॉट नहीं मिला, मकान का पैसा नहीं मिला, हम सर यही जो पड़े झोपड़ी में बना के अपनी में। प्लॉट की यही कह रहे जी, डेली जाता हूँ मैं जेवर, डेली अधिकारी इनके धोरे नु कह दे हाँ देंगे बस ये कह दे के छुट जाते हैं।
आपके पास कागज तो है?
कागज बिल्कुल तैयार है जी, देख सकते हो आप।
The UP government claims most farmers in the area have accepted compensation and land, but some have disputed the compensation amount and their cases are being heard by tribunals. With Saurabh Shukla and Vishnu Som, Bureau Report, NDTV.
3 weeks on, Delhi is still enveloped in toxic air and the Supreme Court insisted yet again that urgent steps need to be taken. The court said this is the national capital. Look at the signal we are sending to the world. The court told the centre prepare a scientific model to combat Delhi air pollution. The court said take steps in anticipation to prevent air quality becoming severe. The court went on to say that stubble burning is going to be a big issue in future. What is the bureaucracy doing? We are not going to close this matter. We will continue to hear this case. Now, the centre said that the air quality index was 403 on the 16th of November. Now it's 290. Situation has improved. The centre going on to say that commission is closely monitoring every day and the directions are being issued. We have come up with graded response for Delhi and adjoining states to tackle air pollution. We take steps as soon as we are in severe situations so that we don't enter severe plus. That's what the centre said. Time for a short break. On the other side, this amazing story from Karnataka where it's literally money down the drain, wads of currency notes dug out of a pipeline in a raid. We'll get you more details on the other side. Welcome back. A government-owned farm fresh outlet in Chennai has become a boon for those who were unable to buy tomatoes last week when the prices crossed 100 rupees per kilogram mark. Sam Daniel has this report.
Satyamurthy, a construction worker, had avoided buying tomatoes last week after the price crossed 100 rupees a kilo. Today, many others like him bought them for 79 rupees at this government outlet. The state's initiative to help those who cannot afford, even as the price touched 160 in the open market following heavy rains last week.
So in a way, the Tamil Nadu government trying to mitigate the hardship faced by poor people, particularly as the price of tomatoes and other vegetables go up. In fact, this is what you see here, a steady stream of visitors at this farm fresh vegetable outlet run by the Tamil Nadu government.
It was a sellout. This farm fresh outlet had received 250 kilos of tomatoes, double the norm. Still, many like Ram couldn't get.
It's a good initiative, but there is no enough supply to supply a demand. There is very less tomato, and it's okay. It's nothing better than nothing. I always said that this benefit is not going to benefit farmer in any way.
The state government says it would procure at least 15 metric tons of tomato every day to bring some relief to poor consumers. In Chennai with Suresh, Sam Daniel, for NDTV.
In some other news, Delhi has taken a decision to reopen schools next week. Schools have been shut due to pollution. Maharashtra too is likely to take a decision soon on reopening schools for all grades. Meher Pandey and Saurav Gupta report.
Finally, Delhi's children can return to school after a 2-week closure due to the pollution emergency. Their education has suffered the most during the COVID crisis and the toxic air.
3 दिनों से लगातार प्रदूषण के स्तर में सुधार हो रहा है। मंडे से सोमवार से सभी स्कूल, कॉलेज, इंस्टीट्यूट, लाइब्रेरी जो बैन था वो सभी खोल दिए जाएंगे।
This comes after a group of 140 Delhi parents sent a letter to the Lieutenant Governor. Simran Khara signed the letter because her 5-year-old daughter Meera is losing interest in Zoom classes.
She's actually been to school 1 day out of 600 days. For a 5-year-old, you can imagine how difficult it is to focus online, and that whole sort of, childhood where you play with friends, you learn from each other, that's just totally been absent. I mean, we're parents to a single child, so we've not been able to give her that kind of company at home.
In Mumbai, the same problem but different reason. COVID, which hit the city very badly. Parents have written to the Chief Minister of Maharashtra to reopen schools for all grades.
Parents who are willing and ready to send their kids to school should be allowed to do so. We will not at any point hold the BMC, the government or anyone, even the school, accountable for anything that happens. We know that COVID is still very much prevalent.
Pediatricians say schools can reopen with vaccines for kids likely soon, and prolonged closure is affecting kids more, with issues of obesity and mental health.
We do not need to wait for the kid to be vaccinated before a school reopens. Of course, the schools will have to follow a lot of COVID protocols. There may be a hybrid model of teaching ongoing.
Some parents, however, are skeptical.
As a parent, I am not confident enough to send my child back to school given the current situation. While things have really been improving, still sending my daughter back to school without her being vaccinated is very dicey for me.
The Guardian Minister for Mumbai, Aditya Thackeray, says that the Maharashtra government is hoping to reopen schools soon, safely for all grades, after discussions with all stakeholders. With Meher Pandey in New Delhi, in Mumbai, Saurabh Gupta, NDTV.
And finally, wads of currency notes were dug out of pipelines in a raid by Karnataka's Anti-Corruption Bureau at a residence of an engineer with the Public Works Department or PWD. During the raid at the engineer's residence, officials recovered 25 lakhs in cash and a huge quantity of gold. And on receiving information that the PWD joint engineer had hidden cash in the pipelines at his residence, officials got a plumber to extract the wads of currency notes from the pipes. Well, that's a wrap on this bulletin from the entire team. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.